How does a laugh over wine, at a long family table, end with papers pressed into my hands in a bright lobby while he steps into an elevator without me? Why did a few harmless touches and a toast turn into a schedule that tells me when I can see my own child? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. I'm Ianthe Merrow, 33, the friendly face at a dental front desk, the one who says people should relax and trust my smile. I have a husband named Aaron Hale and a daughter named Piper. We live in a small townhouse with a narrow balcony and a wall planner that looks like control. I tell everyone our family is happy, and I tell myself the same thing even when the room goes quiet. I drank too much wine at a family dinner and leaned into Micah, Aaron's best friend since high school. I called it banter. I said it was tradition. I laughed when people watched because I like eyes on me. Attention means I am winning. Aaron asked later if I realized how it looked. I said he was overreacting and jealous. Micah messaged once after and said it was all in fun. I said exactly. In my story, nothing crossed a line because I did not say it did. The next morning, Aaron moved a pillow to the guest room for sleep. I said he was punishing me. He said we needed space and calm. Piper asked at breakfast why Daddy closed the other door at night. I said he snores and Mummy works early. My brother Luca texted that I was hilarious. I showed the message to prove I was right. Aaron's phone lit with a reminder that said, meeting, personal, and a small note appeared on the wall planner, reading downtown 925. I said it must be for errands. He said it was his day. At work, my manager asked for a quick word. I said off hours are off limits. A neighbor at the supermarket asked if we were okay. I said we were perfect. I looked at our 2 mugs on opposite counters and told myself this was a new routine, not a problem. I decided the issue was Aaron's pride, not my choices, and I promised I would fix his feelings as soon as he admitted the real problem was him. I woke early and made toast so the kitchen would feel normal. I like normal. It hides things. The wall planner looked clean and careful, with little boxes that say, "Our life is calm." I looked at it too long because the new pencil note sat there like a seed. It read, downtown 925. I asked myself if that meant a hardware store, a bank errand, something boring. I told myself I would not ask because asking would look guilty. Aaron came in and asked how I slept. I said I slept fine, and that wine always makes me sleepy. He asked how much wine I had at dinner. I said the usual, and then I said, family dinners are loud and it is easier to float. He asked what I meant by float. I said I made the table fun because people expect me to carry the mood. I said I joked with Micah because everyone knows Micah is a clown. I said it was banter, not betrayal. I said his mother smiled, so it must have been fine. I did not say that her smile was thin. He looked at the 2 mugs I had set out. He took one from the back of the shelf instead and stood on the opposite side of the counter. Space opened like a small river. He asked if I understood how the dinner looked. I said it looked happy because I am a friendly person. I said people read what they want to read. I said he was choosing a sad story on purpose. I kept my voice light because a light voice makes the other person look heavy. My phone buzzed with a tag from my brother. Luca sent the clip of me laughing by Micah with a crown emoji. He wrote that I held the table like a stage and that I was a star. I showed Aaron and said even Luca, who knows me best, said it was nothing. Aaron said a brother who likes chaos is a poor witness. I said he was judging my family. He said he was judging patterns. I said patterns were only real when people write them down. He did not answer that. He put his empty mug in the sink without noise. Quiet is worse than noise. I packed Piper's lunch and told her we had a great night. She asked why Daddy went to bed in the other room when we came home. I said Daddy snores. She asked if snoring means a person is mad. I said no. She accepted that because she is 6. I felt the line of my lie and stepped over it like a crack in the sidewalk. I told myself I am keeping the peace. I opened our hall drawer for tape and saw a thin binder labeled Utilities. It was thicker than bills. Plastic sleeves held copies and sticky tabs. I told myself Aaron was organizing because organization calms him. I lifted it and put it back where I found it. Under it was a small note that read, "Bring forms." I laughed and carried the tape away. Paper makes him feel important. I tell myself that to stay tall. On my way to work, I checked my gallery to prove to myself that the dinner looked innocent. The photos showed me with flushed cheeks and warm hands under the table, but no hands crossed a line. A tiny video, only a few seconds, showed me leaning too close to Micah while the cake came down the aisle. I remembered saying thank you to the server and brushing Micah's arm for balance. I said to myself that balance is not touch. I said a camera lies more often than it tells the truth. I deleted the preview from my home screen so I could breathe. At lunch, I texted Aaron that we should laugh about last night and move on. I said my manager had no business judging family dinner if she saw the clip. I said my job is about smiles, and I know how to use them. He wrote that we could talk later. He did not add a time. I decided that later meant he would meet me halfway if I came home with dinner and a good story. I planned the story while I answered calls at the front desk. When I returned home, the house smelled like lemon cleaner. The bed in the guest room had a new pillow. Aaron said he would sleep there for a bit so everyone could rest. I said he was punishing me for being social. He said he was protecting calm. I said calm is a cage when it is used against your wife. He asked if I heard myself when I put blame everywhere else. I said blame was a blunt tool, and people use it when they are lazy. He nodded once and folded a t-shirt with slow hands. I walked to the kitchen and staged 2 mugs again because props matter. I texted Luca that Aaron was acting like a judge. Luca wrote that judges also love good shows. He told me to post a soft photo to bury the dinner clip in the feed. I posted an old picture of Piper and me at the park and wrote a caption about gentle days. It looked like a postcard from a quiet life. I let that calm wash over me for a minute. Work should have been safe because I make work feel safe for others. I greet patients. I straighten brochures. I say we value your time. My voice is sugar around the clock. But the front desk was a glass fish bowl, and the morning felt like eyes on a new fish. Ruth, my office manager, sent a calendar invite titled Quick Word at 10:30. I clicked accept and wrote a note in my head. Keep it light, call it family culture, emphasize off hours. I can build a policy with my tongue. At 10:30, Ruth closed the glass door and asked how I was. I said I was excellent. She asked if I was aware of a tagged video that showed me leaning into a man at dinner. I said yes, and that he is a family friend, and that our families joke a lot. She asked if I could see how a public clip like that might affect the office brand when patients follow staff online. I said off hours are off limits, and that people judge women twice, then judge again. She asked if I minded being discreet while it calmed down. I said I would consider that, and then I said the real issue was envy from people who are not fun. She looked at me with that quiet manager look and thanked me for coming in. I counted it a win because there was no write-up. I told myself I keep my job because I know how to move air. Out in the waiting room, a regular patient said he saw a fun video and asked if we had catered that dinner. I laughed and said, family dinners are always extra at our house. He said I looked like I was having a great time. I said I always try to be the person who lifts the table. I heard my own words and wondered if I had lifted too high. I shook that feeling away and checked a child in for a cleaning. At lunch, I walked to the pharmacy for a bottle of water and a lip balm. The light there is too honest. Aaron met me outside because we had said we would talk. He asked about Piper's pickup and the meal plan for the week. I said we could plan later and that I wanted a hug now. He said he was not comfortable mixing signals. I said the signal was love. He said the signal needed to be clarity first. My chest felt tight and I hated that word because clarity always means control when he uses it. His phone lit with a call that showed as private. He stepped outside the automatic door and put on headphones. He spoke in a low voice I could not hear under the hum of refrigerators. I told myself he was talking to a client or to Theo. I told myself private calls are normal in lunchtime hours. He came back and asked if I got what I needed. I said I needed my husband on my side at work. He said he would not join a performance. I said it was not a performance, it was survival. He asked again about pickup. I said I would take it and he could have bedtime. He said thank you and nodded like a clerk making a note. Later, we stood by the car in the parking garage. His trunk was open with neat things. Clear sleeves in a binder held copies of something. I glanced and saw only blank backs of pages and a tab that said home. Another binder said bank. I said he was going overboard with office supplies. He said order helps. I said order is a cold blanket. People need warmth. He said our daughter needs routine. I said routine is a prison when you make it a rule. He shut the trunk and said we could continue later. He did not touch my arm. He did not raise his voice. He had become a wall that says, use the door, and I do not know where the door is. When I got home after work, I found his laptop open on the dining table. The screen woke when I brushed near it. A spreadsheet sat there with initials and dates. The moment I moved closer, he stepped from the hall and minimized the window. He asked me not to touch his computer. I said I was not touching anything. He said he was tracking tasks so he would not forget. I said he could just ask me for help, but he prefers secrets. He said he prefers systems. A phone reminder pinged and then was dismissed, quick and quiet. I saw the title before it disappeared. It said, Meeting, Personal. Another calendar block later read Downtown 1340. The numbers looked like a code. I hate codes I did not write. I went to the hall drawer for scissors and found the sticky note again. Bring forms. I crumpled it and then smoothed it and put it back because I did not want to look petty in case anyone watched me. I checked our wall planner. A red circle had appeared around Friday, a heavy mark in pencil. Someone wanted me to notice. I told myself it was about Piper's playdate. I wrote playdate next to it in big letters and added a heart, as if ink could turn meaning into my version. In the stairwell that night, I heard footsteps pause as I came up. A faint beep cut off, like a recording app stopping when I got close. I looked down the hall. Aaron stood by the guest room with his phone in his hand. He asked if I needed anything. I said I needed him to be a partner. He said he was being won by keeping the house calm. I said, calm is a way to hide what you are doing. He said he was not hiding. He said we would talk on Saturday and set a plan for the next week. He moved into the guest room and the door closed with that small click that now felt like a habit. I went to the kitchen and staged 2 mugs again and took a photo of them side by side. I posted the photo with a caption about teamwork and quiet nights. Luca liked it at once. No one else did for a long minute, which felt like a year. Mr. Klein, our neighbor, walked past our front window and slowed, like he was checking his shoes, but his eyes flicked up at me. I waved and he lifted 2 fingers and kept walking. I told myself the block would forget by Friday. I told myself family would come around. I told myself this was a small storm and my smile was a boat. I also told myself that the planner numbers were boring. Friday came like a stage cue. The family birthday dinner was at a busy place with paper menus and long tables pushed together. I wore a soft dress and told myself gentle colors mean gentle choices. Luca arrived early and said he saved me a seat. He put me between Aaron and Micah. I said that was messy. He said it was funny. I told myself it would show everyone that I am calm under pressure and that Aaron was the one who needed to relax. I decided to win the room. The table filled with cousins and stories. The server poured water and left a wine list. I said I would share a bottle so we did not look cheap. Aaron said he would stick to water. I said that was fine, and that some of us can carry the mood without help. He looked at his napkin and folded it very straight. Micah asked how work was going at the dental office. I said it was cheerful as always, and that people like me because I make things easy. Micah tapped my shoulder when a plate had to pass behind me. I did not move away fast. I told myself this showed I was not afraid. When the food came, the table got loud, which I love because loud covers what you choose to say. Luca told a story about high school and how Aaron used to be shy. I added that he is still shy and that I have to be the voice for both of us. People laughed. I touched Micah's sleeve to show the tone was friendly and good. Aaron kept placing things neatly by Piper's plate, one steady task after another. Marla watched the table with a librarian's quiet face, the kind that keeps rules without raising volume. I told myself she appreciates my energy even when she acts strict. I told myself mothers like me in the long run. I stood to make a small toast before the cake. I said families need humor and that misunderstandings should be forgiven. I said, I am a cheerful person who brightens rooms, and sometimes bright light can look sharp in a photo, but it is still light. Luca clapped first. Micah bumped my elbow and said I was the spark. The word spark made me taller. I leaned in to say thank you to him because the music got loud. My hand pressed his shoulder for balance. My mouth was near his ear because the room was noisy. I said something about old jokes that I hoped was clever. Someone across the table lifted a phone. I saw the flash. It felt like a small test I had already passed. Piper asked if she could sit between me and Daddy. I said of course and moved my chair an inch to make space. Micah said I should tell the story about the time we all got caught in the rain at the fair. I told it like a movie, with pauses and looks. People laughed at the right spots. Aaron smiled once at Piper's sticky face, not at me. Marla asked if we could skip more wine. I laughed and said one bottle makes the jokes kinder. She did not answer. The server brought the cake with a sparkler, and the table sang. I clapped along and pretended I did not feel Aaron's quiet next to me. I told myself he would forgive me on the ride home once he saw everyone loved me again. In my head, forgiveness happens when people applaud. That is how I read rooms. When we left the restaurant, the night air felt clean. In the parking garage, the light was yellow and made lines on the concrete. Aaron opened the trunk to tuck away Piper's gift bag. I caught the smell of printer toner from somewhere in the car. The dry, familiar office smell that does not belong on a Friday night. A clipboard lay inside for a second, half under a jacket, and the top sheet showed only one word, statement, before he pushed it deeper. I asked if he was writing notes. He said he was keeping thoughts in order. I said that was cold. He said it was clear. Luca shouted from across the garage that we should keep the party going at a bar. I said maybe later. Marla said it was time to go home. Aaron's engine was already facing the street, like he had parked for an easy exit. He strapped Piper in and told me he would take her home and start bedtime. I said we could ride together. He said he would prefer we took separate cars for now. The words were clean, not cruel. I nodded and felt suddenly like the air was too thin near the ceiling. I sat in my own car and scrolled the new tags. The flash from dinner had already been posted with a caption about good friends and long marriages. The photo made me look like I was leaning toward Micah more than balance required. I told myself that the angle was unfair because chairs were tight. I told myself the caption fixed the meaning. I told myself meaning belongs to whoever writes it first. The next morning, I insisted on the park. I said to Aaron that sunshine helps people reset. He said routine helps children more. He spoke in the same even way he had used all week, like he was reading from a manual that never raises its voice. I cut apples and packed a blanket. Piper ran ahead to the swings. I posted a picture of the sky before we even sat down, a picture that said, We are ordinary and calm. On the bench, Marla joined us with a small bag of snacks. She greeted Piper and then me. She asked how my head was after the dinner. I said I was fresh as a daisy and that laughter is good for the heart. She said, attention can be a promise you do not mean. I said joy is not a contract. She watched Piper climb and told me that children read rooms better than adults. I said Piper was fine. The word fine works like a charm until it doesn't. Piper came back with sand on her knees. She asked why I touched Uncle Micah's arm more than Daddy's last night. She said she counted. I laughed and said sometimes you touch people when a plate is passing or when you need balance and that it means nothing. She asked if nothing means Daddy sleeps in the other room. Erin said changes can help people think. Piper looked back at the swings. She did not smile. I felt a thin cut of silence run under the bench. Back home, the balcony had that narrow light it gets before noon. I brewed tea and set 2 mugs on opposite counters again. It has become a habit now, 2 pieces of a picture I keep trying to take. Erin came into the kitchen and glanced at the mugs. He did not move toward mine. I said we needed to present a united front because people were watching. He said he would not perform what he did not feel. He said he would be respectful and stable for Piper. I said respect without warmth is punishment. He said I could name it as I wished. I stepped into the living room and opened his laptop without meaning to. The lid lifted with a sigh. A clean desktop tree showed 2 folders named Archive A and Archive B. I did not understand the naming. He came from the hall and closed the lid gently, not rushed, but final. I asked why he was archiving. He said records protect memory. I said memory is better when it is soft. He said memory is better when it is true. I laughed because I did not have another answer. The wall planner glowed a little in the kitchen light. The red circle around Friday looked heavy and childish at the same time, like a teacher's pen. I wrote park after school, next to it again even though the day had passed. I wanted to see my handwriting take up space. My phone buzzed with a reminder from our shared calendar, downtown 10:15 for Wednesday. The times kept changing like they were rolling dice. I told myself it was errands. I told myself men love errands when they need to feel useful. We needed groceries, so I took Piper to the supermarket while Aaron stayed back to fix a shelf. In the checkout line, Mr. Klein from the HOA stood with a basket of cleaning supplies. He asked if we had a nice night. I said it was lovely. He said he saw a bright photo from the dinner and hoped everyone was being kind. I said people always read too much into a moment. He nodded at Piper, then at me, then at the magazine rack. He did not say another word. I saw our reflection in the freezer door. My smile thick as syrup, Piper's eyes on the floor. When we returned, I carried the bags up the stairs. Halfway, I heard footsteps pause on the landing above me. A faint beep cut off, the same quick sound I had noticed before, like a recording app hitting stop as I reached earshot. I stepped faster and reached the top. Aaron had moved out of the hall and into the guest room. The door was half closed. I said I could hear him. He said the house is small. I said secret recordings are creepy. He said he was taking notes, not secrets. I laughed again and called him a clerk. He did not answer. Later, on the balcony, I posted a photo of the 2 mugs with a caption about Saturday sunshine and quiet teamwork. Luca liked it and wrote 3 fire emojis, and then did not reply to my next text. Marla sent a message that only listed Piper's bedtime and the library craft hour on Tuesday. She did not include a greeting. I showed the message to Aaron and said his mother was trying to run our home. He said she was sending helpful notes for Piper. I said, helpful is just a mask for control. He said that everyone is wearing a mask. The difference is whether you know you are wearing it. In the hallway that evening, I saw Aaron's keyring on the table. A small, unfamiliar key hung next to the car fob. I asked what it was for. He said it was for access. And then he said the word meant many things. I rolled my eyes and said he loved puzzles more than people. He said he loved people best when puzzles were solved. When he turned to the desk, a cloud sync pop-up blinked on his laptop and then vanished. File uploaded successfully. I pretended not to see it. Piper came out in pajamas and asked if we were going to the park tomorrow. I said yes without looking at Aaron. He said we would check the weather and the calendar. He spoke like a person writing on a clean sheet. I felt like a person scribbling on the margins. I wanted to grab his arm and demand softness. Instead, I put my hand on the balcony rail and made myself a statue. I messaged Micah and wrote that the dinner was funny and that people were uptight. He replied with a thumbs up and said he was laying low because Marla had given him a look. I told him he should not worry. I told him Aaron loves me too much to make a big deal. I told myself repeating that line would make it true. I booked a small conference nook at a co-working space near the river and sent Aaron a shared invite. I wrote that we could talk there at lunch like adults. He arrived on time with a neat posture and steady breath. I placed his favorite pastry on the table as a peace flag. I said we were stuck because he was holding a grudge. He said we were stuck because I treated harm as a joke. I said harm was a big word for a little dinner. He said little dinners can be big to a child who counts touches. He opened a tablet and asked about Piper's week. I complained that logistics were not romance. He said romance is not a tool for repair. I said repair starts with a hug. He said mixed signals made more breakage. I tried tears because tears used to work. I said I fell apart when he stayed distant. He said he heard my words and hoped I would get support. He did not reach for my hand. The room air hummed in the vents. I felt like a person swimming in place. On the chair beside him lay a clipboard with a single printed word at the top. Statement. I tilted my head to read more. He shifted the board without hurry. I asked why he was collecting thoughts on paper. He said notes prevented shouting. I said notes killed feeling. He said feeling without shape spills. I called that poetic and cold. He said being clear is kind. I said he had learned to sound good while making me feel small. We walked to the pharmacy next door because I said I needed a painkiller. The lights were too bright and the tiles clicked under shoes. His phone lit with a call labeled private. He stepped outside and put on headphones. He paced in a slow line with the glass door between us. I could see his mouth moving, but could not hear a word. I told myself it was Theo or a client. I told myself people who love me do not plan things behind glass. He returned and asked if I had what I needed. I said I needed him to defend me at work. He said he would not join a performance. I said surviving office gossip is not a show. He said then I should stay off the stage. In the parking garage under the co-working building, he opened his trunk to put away his bag. Inside were 3 tidy binders labeled Home, Auto, Bank. Clear sleeves glowed in the dim light. A small zip pouch held spare keys. On his actual keyring, the new small key flashed. I asked what door it opened. He said it opened what needed to be opened. I said riddles were not love. He said love has gates when trust is broken. He closed the trunk softly. We drove home in 2 cars again. In the hallway, I reached for his arm. He stepped back a polite inch. I said, a family needs touch. He said a family needs safety. I said, safety is just a costume for control. He said, control is what keeps a child from shaking when adults play with fire. He spoke like a teacher in a quiet room. I hated the room more than the lesson. On his desk, a small drawer clicked as he turned a tiny key. The sound was sharp and clean, like a door in a movie. A browser window on his laptop showed tabs that flashed and then hid when he touched the trackpad. Storage options, delivery tracking, notary near me. A cloud sync pop-up flickered. File uploaded successfully. I pretended to look at the plant on the shelf. I said he was acting like a clerk building a case. He said he was arranging life so our daughter would not be tossed by my mood. At dinner, I tried to be bright. I asked Piper about art class and laughed at every answer. Aaron ate quietly and washed pans like a person timing his breaths. After bedtime, I went to him with a speech about the soul of marriage. I told him he promised forever. He said promises have conditions like respect and care. I said I had given both, mostly. He said I had given a show. I said a show is still effort. He said he would handle things properly. He said the word as if it were a road sign he had already passed. I stared at the wall planner. A new pencil block blinked on his phone and then vanished. Downtown, 15:30. The red-circled Friday looked like a warning I could not erase. In the guest room, the bedspread was smooth, but the pillow had a dip. I stood in the doorway and asked if this was our life now. He said we would talk soon and keep it steady for Piper. I said steady is boring. He said steady is safe. He turned off the light. I decided the fix was public. I went to Aaron's office tower at lunch and waited near the badge gates. Marble floors made everything sound important. Security screens glowed with names. I rehearsed a speech about families staying together when crowds try to tear them. I planned to reach for his hand so everyone could see we were fine. I thought of Piper and told myself I was doing this for her. Theo came through and saw me. He asked if I was meeting Aaron. I said yes, and I said we would clear the air today. He nodded and stood near a column. Aaron appeared with his bag over his shoulder and that calm face that used to be my anchor. I stepped forward and said we should talk now and stop the distance. He said we would follow the plan. I asked what plan. He said the one that keeps things clear for Piper. I said clarity is an excuse. He said clarity is protection. From a bench beside the planter, a man in a neutral jacket stood and said my full name. The sound carried in the lobby. He asked if I was that person. I said yes because that is my name. He handed a stack into my hands with a simple phrase that the delivery was complete. The paper had a weight that felt colder than the tile. I looked at the top page and saw the word petition. I saw temporary orders about the home and the car and the money. I saw a custody schedule that began this week with exchanges at school and a rule for written messages only about our child. It was clean ink, not anger. I told Aaron we could settle this over dinner. He said we would follow the schedule. I said he was choosing strangers over his wife. He said he was choosing stability. I said he had humiliated me. He said public harm had started at a public table, and public repair would begin with rules. He thanked the server for being professional. The man nodded and stepped back. People nearby pretended to look at their phones and not at me. Security watched without moving. My phone buzzed. Marla's text said, "Routine helps Piper, and I should follow the plan." Lucas sent a message that read, "Call me," and then nothing else. I held the packet in both hands and felt my chest go hollow. I said to Aaron that Micah meant nothing. He said the papers spoke for themselves. I asked if he really wanted this. He said he wanted peace for our daughter and clarity for us. He said there would be no more scenes. His voice did not rise. The elevator bell chimed. Theo held the door, while Aaron stepped backward toward it. I said we could still fix it if he just came home with me. He said the schedule began now. He said I would receive details by email. I said he could not walk away like this. He said he was not walking away. He was walking on a marked path. The doors shivered as if impatient. I felt every eye on the marble. I looked down and saw my reflection smaller than I expected. The word temporary at the top of the order stared up like a label on my life. I told myself I could smile and make this bend. My mouth did not move. Aaron thanked Theo for holding the door. He told me to take care of myself and to follow the schedule. He stepped inside. The bell chimed again. The doors closed on his calm face. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.